This is WBSM On Demand.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the program. I'm Chris McCarthy. We have the mayor of New Bedford joining us here in a moment. He's just adjusting to his new rain jacket here in the rain.
Envious of my rain jacket.
I do. I figure if I compliment you enough, you'll give me that one too.
Oh no! It says it's a New Bedford High School field hockey jacket. So stuff you buy as a parent. So it wears well. It's a good look.
It is a good look, and that's what makes me covet it, John.
Thank you, Chris. I take that. I'm flattered.
It's wet out there, huh?
It looks like it's raining, Chris. Yeah.
But you like rain better than snow, right?
Oh yeah, I hate snow.
It doesn't cost us anything.
It does not. No, you can't plow rain.
Right.
I don't think
you don't have to.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I will say just on that, let's just discharge my duty to make sure everybody's doing the right thing around storms. So it is going to get pretty windy.
I understand that.
Really windy, up to like 60 miles an hour, which is a lot. So the police will be keeping people away from the Harbor Walk and the Cold Walk, the beaches, of course. Not exactly a beach day today, Chris, but sometimes people go out there. Sometimes people go out to Fort Tabor when it's like this. So if the police see you out there, you're probably not going to be there for long. So just stay away from this stuff. Because I'll tell you, it's over the last several years, the frequency of storms that result in street flooding, especially in Paden Avenue, because it's very low-lying, or even some damage. I've seen some damage down by Cisco on the boardwalk. They've had to rebuild that thing a couple of times in the last few years. They've become more frequent, and so that's just. And you don't need to remind anybody who lives down in the peninsula. They see these storms more often than we used to. So just this is another one of those. So people should just be aware of that.
It's a good day to stay home. Maybe a good day to stay home. If you have the option, maybe it's better.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a blizzard or anything. But this stuff flies around when it gets this windy, and it's trees. But the tree roots are wet, and there's a lot of wind. Sometimes trees can fall down. So it's not it's a risk that you have to be cognizant of.
That street flooding, so it's always a problem. We have a problem here in Fairhaven. It floods on our street over by Cushman Park. It's just part of living in the Northeast now.
It is. Well, in a lot of places. There are other cities around the country that really feel it every time it rains. So lots of low-lying areas. You name it. It's New Orleans, Norfolk, Virginia, Miami, Boston does. Saw a few years ago where the subways in Boston flooded. The stuff starts happening in many places around the country now. Actually, as it turns out, New Bedford's fairly elevated compared to a lot of other cities. If there's some low-lying areas, it's just we're coastal, and when it comes to hurricanes, we're prone because of the way we're oriented toward the Atlantic Ocean.
You've been working on that stuff for a while now, going over with your emergency management people. Not that this is a storm that's going to have that, but
we had just this summer we had 2 tabletop hurricane response exercises. We take this stuff seriously because we have to. We try not to alarm the public about it, but one of the things that's come out of those exercises, which have been very useful, they've been headed up by Brian Nobriga, who's the director of emergency management. One of the things that's come out of those exercises in the last few years, those exercises along with the new sea rise projections and our experience in seeing street flooding more frequently, is that the likelihood of people having to be evacuated is pretty high, because that's like the big takeaway. So what that means is people should have, and look, we don't suggest that people panic, but you should have, if you live in the South End, if you live on the peninsula, if you live near Paden Avenue, a few streets up or so, you should have in the back of your head where you would go if you had to leave. And it's not like you have to, if there's a storm coming, drive to the mountains of Vermont to avoid the wind and the rain and all
Freetown
and all that. Go to Freetown, go to somewhere, go to a relative, but know that you have to do that and just be somewhat prepared. Like, don't sort of figure it all out in the moment.
Right.
But just have it in the back of your head.
And I know you prepare for this stuff, would you open, again, this is not something that's going to happen today, folks, so I don't want anyone to panic. I know the mayor doesn't either.
No, I appreciate that disclaimer. Yeah.
Right, because people listen in small amounts.
Yeah.
But if you had to, you'd probably open a school or something like that farther to the north.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
We will. So we have a number of emergency shelters, sort of in order of priority and
Don't let the governor know that.
Well, no.
I'm joking.
These aren't not those kinds. These are storm shelters,
Right.
So Keith Middle School is the main one. That's one we've used a couple of times in the last decade or so. That seems to work pretty well. And then if there's a large number of folks, then we would go to New Bedford High School. So obviously both of those schools are pretty far away from the coastline.
Right.
So that's our contingent. We have a regional shelter. We've worked with MEMA, the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency.
They have nice jackets.
Oh yeah, you should get one of those.
I should get one of those. Who do I have to flatter to get one of those?
I'll work on it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Somebody, they must have some. Even if you just go to their lost and found, Chris, I bet you can.
I'm happy to take that. Yeah. I'm happy to do that. Yeah.
But we've worked with them to establish New Bedford as the emergency shelter location for the region, which makes sense because of its centrality and its capacity that we have to put this stuff together. So. Anyway, that's enough storm talk. It's not going to be the storm of the century up there, but people should not trifle with it.
We do have a kind of a story of the century, I think. The assassination of that healthcare executive and then the apprehension of a young man who seemed like, to me anyway, had all the options in the world. Went to the Ivy League school, wealthy family. What do you make of that, Mayor?
Yeah, it's quite a case, isn't it?
Yes.
And I guess I have a number of responses. I think it's just so sad that his name is Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, died. He had two young kids. Really made something of himself. He's from Iowa. His father was a grain elevator operator for over 40 years in Iowa.
Really?
Right? So if you go in the Midwest, you see those grain elevators, right? There are people who operate those things. So he was just one of these guys who just worked real hard and was very talented, and by all accounts. And so I think, and by the way, it turns out like his killer, a valedictorian. The killer was a high school valedictorian in a very prestigious private school in Baltimore. And turns out that Brian Thompson had the highest grade point average of his graduating class at the University of Iowa. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. So bizarre coincidence there, but underscores the fact that this was a guy who is just a decent guy running a company.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I know people, I get it, people have issues with health insurers, but what's striking to me is just the backlash on the internet. How many people have gone to defend
the killer?
It's
amazing, John.
Which, I don't know what got in the head of the killer. It is pretty odd.
Yes.
I don't know if maybe he had a psychotic break. I don't know. I mean, those things can happen.
Sure.
But whatever, that'll all come out. I'm sure. I'm sure there will be an insanity defense because there's a considerable amount of evidence stacked up against him. But I think we can expect that. Whether it's the jury buys it or not, it's another question. But I'm sure that question is going to be put to the jury.
Yes.
The other thing I'd just say is, it's just really sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah, they just gunned the guy down in the street like that, and I don't know what it says more broadly about it. I don't. The actions of one person don't necessarily sort of speak to sort of societal trends, but the reaction of a whole lot of people on the internet might.
Yes.
And I think that's really that's to my mind the most troubling part of this. It took them a little while to get him, but it's someone who's worked on fugitive cases before. It doesn't surprise me that he was caught. I was a little surprised that he got out of New York City without getting caught. New York City has 40,000 police officers, Chris. Right,
it's amazing.
Two Army divisions, of police officers. Right. So it's a big police force there, plus all the federal law enforcement there, and the transit police and the port authority. Plus, there are a lot of cops in New York, but he got lots of cameras in New York too,
tons
everywhere, and so he managed to slip through all of that, and but it's, I wasn't. He was caught sort of the old-fashioned way, somebody just having seen his picture on TV and said, "Hey, that guy sitting in the corner of McDonald's looks just like that guy I saw on TV."
It's so weird to me that someone's able to recognize somebody off the picture on television.
Yeah,
and then think,
well, he's
be
probably
so
sitting in
confident
the
they
middle
call.
of the corner of McDonald's with a hood on and a mask on, like who eats their McDonald's fries like that?
That may be true.
That's a little suspicious,
Right, that may be true, John.
Right,
but
I would, you wouldn't. Like, why would you do that?
I don't pay that much attention to other people, particularly one state over for a fugitive. Yeah. Although when I was in Italy and you were looking for Jimmy Bulger, Jim Bulger, Natalie and I thought we saw him.
We got a lot of that.
Did you? Did you? I took pictures
we saw
of the
this
guy.
Irish guy, and he kind of looked like, yeah. We got a lot of people.
But he was wearing that fanny pack. That's why I thought
Irish guy
Bulger.
with a fanny pack.
Right, that's Bulger. And but I remember saying, I don't think
that
really.
was one of the things with Bulger, right? He just looked so nondescript.
Right.
He was like 5'9" and bald, and sort of an older-looking Irish guy with white hair, and it's a lot of people in this world that look like that.
Right.
And as you know, Chris, there's Irish people all over the place.
They're all over the world. Yeah. We've invaded everywhere.
Yes.
Right? Do you think there's any desire by the federal government to elevate this to a federal trial, maybe seek the death penalty? Your thoughts, as I don't know, your thoughts as a former federal prosecutor on the implications, because it's I don't know. Can you think about that?
Well, I'm not sure what the federal jurisdictional hook is. There isn't a general purpose murder statute in the United States Code. I'm trying to think of the statutes that have to do with the extortion statute. The Hobbs Act might apply, although that's a little bit of a stretch.
Okay.
It's nothing that I've ever charged, so I'm not. I have to say I'm not sure.
With United Healthcare,
about wire fraud or mail fraud or money laundering, I'll be able to
I can ask you a lot about that, actually. Yeah. Let's shift with that. The case of the bribery of the city council, the extortion charge that's going on up there, and the fact that they're stuck with that city councilor in Boston. They don't have a recall petition.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. When you were up there was when they probably got Turner, the last city councilor in Boston, to be indicted when you were in the U.S. Attorney's office.
Yeah, John McNeil, who's a colleague of mine, indicted him and Diane Wilkerson, the state senator, the two of you did those cases.
But did you have this in mind when you were doing the recall?
I can't speak for Boston or any other city. I can just speak for my city.
Right.
And that is, I think we need a recall provision, but I can't seem to get the city council to.
But I mean,
to see it my way.
Right. You were up there for Turner. He turned around and sued the taxpayers of Boston because the city council expelled him when he was indicted, because they didn't have anything on the books like you're trying to put on the books. Talk about that, Mayor.
Well, we've talked about it. I mean, I think there should be a recall provision in the city charter. It is akin to the impeachment provision in the federal Constitution, and it's just what it represents is it's a mechanism by which people can say, you know what, somebody did something so beyond the pale that despite their winning a free election, they should be removed from office.
Right.
And so it's a really rare thing to be invoked. It ought to be a rare thing, but sometimes bad stuff happens. And so, that's, as we've discussed, I've introduced it to the city council very early this year, back in February, I think it was. And it would apply to me. It would apply to every elected official. And I did it. I made clear I'm not targeting anybody with it. It applies even handily to everybody. I'm not suspicious of any particular person, but it's something that I think our government, city government, needs in the long run, because you don't know.
Somebody thinks you're suspicious of them for some reason, because they will not bring it up. It's bizarre.
I guess so. Well, they'll be coming on your show at some point.
I think they might not be, but no? I think. Well, listen. When I call Sean Oliver, he'll come. Leo Choquette, of course, those guys both sort of support the recall. Actually, Leo wants to make it easier to recall, because he's worked with those guys now for almost a year. He realizes some of these people have to go. Man, we're going to take a break. We'll take a break, and then we'll get started with some of the other important business. Not that a recall isn't important. It really is. But it's just bizarre. And I know you've done everything you can do.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else I can do about that. Right. I've just pointed out, and I appreciate your coverage of it because I think it's hard to argue against, honestly.
We'll take a break, folks. Stick around. If you want to call the mayor, you can at 508-996-05. If you want to chime in on this recall, I mean, it's bizarre to me that the city council is holding it up. Somebody knows something we don't know. Wonder what the U.S. Attorney's Office knows. We'll be right back. I'm Chris McCarthy, and we have the mayor of New Bedford, Jon Mitchell, here in studio. That, of course, was Deep Purple off the mayor's playlist.
I'm surprised I hadn't played that one before. I was flipping through the songs. I was like, geez, I haven't played that one. It's a classic.
So you don't do repeats?
We haven't repeated yet, no.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, there were a couple that slipped. There's one that slipped through.
We're not going to check.
Yeah.
We're not going to check. We got some people on hold here. Let's go right to the phones. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My question is, isn't the city responsible to go through those trees that they plant and to cut them, because some of them the branches are dragging on the cars, and some of them need to have some dirt more. And another question: what's going to happen when the roots of those trees attacks the clay pipes of the owners of the houses? Isn't that the city supposed to be responsible for that? We didn't ask to plant trees.
Yeah, so a couple things. So the answer to your question is yes. So the city will come around and do the pruning of those new trees. I learned a new term, Chris, by the way,
all right,
when it comes to trees.
Thanks for the call.
You prune trees when they're small, and when they get big, you trim them.
You trim them when they're large.
Stuff. Yeah.
You prune them when they're small.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll keep that in mind for Arbor Day.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So I got that going for me. So yeah, she's right. And I hope she's still listening, because I would just ask her to call my office. Let us know where her street is if we have to do some pruning of those trees.
Call the mayor's office.
We planted over 5,000 trees in the last 10 years. When I got into office, we had about 8,000 street trees. We have over 12,000 now, and we continue to plant. So in the long run, I think it's going to make for a nicer looking city.
Absolutely.
And slow cars down and have allow houses that reduce their air conditioning in the summertime, because the trees, not every house, but a lot of houses,
right,
because the trees provide that shade and cool the houses. So we think this is important for cities to do, including ours, and it hadn't been done in a long time. But yeah, we need to prune them, and I will acknowledge that we're a little behind on that. We've done some pruning. We need to do some catching up. If it's a slow year for snow, we should be able to do some catching up, because the time to do it is when the trees are dormant.
And hopefully we won't have much snow this year.
As far as the pipes go, that shouldn't be an issue. I think that was more of an issue when the city had clay pipes, and then those have largely been removed from across the city, and the pipes that go into the houses now are much different. They're cast iron in terms of the sewer lines, and then the water lines are copper. So that's every once in a while we'll hear about somebody having a tree branch grow into their line. If that happens to you, let us know. But that's a pretty rare event now.
Do we have other callers here? Let me go back to phone. Good morning. Thanks for holding.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a major problem here. I live in the city of New Bedford in the north end, where the houses are fairly close. And my neighbor had installed solar panels. And last February, the day before Valentine's Day, we had a storm, maybe 6 inches of snow. And that was on the Tuesday. And on the Friday, I was in my living room by myself, and 3 times I heard like a train crashing.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm 82. My children had already cleaned me all out. all the snow from her roof has now fallen in 3/4 of my driveway, on my car, on my trash receptacles, my porch steps, which all had to be reshoveled again. I got out there a few times, but the snow was too heavy. It's a major problem here. I don't know if there are any laws concerned. I confronted her, but now she no longer speaks to me. But this is a major problem. I have children here. It was like an avalanche. It was totally like an avalanche. I have children. I babysit for my great-grandchild. I own the house. My tenants have 3 children. I myself, it's heavy snow. It's a lot of pounds of snow. And I don't know what to do. It's a major problem for me.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's a pain, especially if you're at an age where it's a real burden to shovel snow. Let me throw out a couple of things to you. So there isn't a law that says we can't you can't let snow fall off your roof. You've got to prevent that somehow because it just happens, right? So a couple things I would suggest. One is so if your neighbor doesn't want to pick it up, right? Ideally, your neighbor should be picking it up. It sounds like that ship has sailed. But if the kids aren't around to do the work, one of the programs that we have as a city is that we have a limited amount of money that we use to hire folks to shovel the driveways of people who are not physically able to do that. And so that's a program that's been in place for a little while. So if you call community services, they can see if you can get on the list. I hope it doesn't snow much.
I was going to say, I don't think...
But I don't want to jinx us either.
No, please don't. But I think you're going to be all right for at least maybe another month.
Well, right, but then after that, it's. I mean, I know when I tell people this, even my own kids, but until they looked it up and they saw how many pounds of snow, and it could be seriously dangerous. A child could actually get killed. That's how bad it was. And I even called for the permit department to see, if there was anything I could do. And he understood because apparently he has them on his house and he heard it and he thought it was a train crashing. However, it falls in his yard, so that's okay. This is falling on my property. And it's a lot of snow. It happens
a lot with like slate roofs too. Solar panels, it's just the slipperiness. Like my house has slate roofs and the snow just slides. Like you hear it. It sounds like an avalanche.
Right.
Just a little bit. So I think the same thing happens with solar panels. Yeah, I would honestly. There's not a lot we can do about that except.
Well, I can't understand that though. I'm really confused as to why people that do solar panels, especially in, like I say, the North End. Now this is like a 2-family with an attic, full attic. So that's quite high. Yep. And I can't understand why people can put solar panels and not have to protect their neighbor's property.
Well, I would agree with you that they should be helping you out. Yeah. If I had an 82-year-old woman next to my house, my snow was falling off my roof into hers and causing a problem, I would be.
But there is a program someone you can get. Tell her that.
So call community services.
Community services.
Yeah, and if you call my office, we can direct you there as well. Do you have my office number?
Okay, I don't have it, but I could.
He'll give it to you right now.
Ready?
All right. Thank you. Yep.
508.
Yeah.
979.
Yep.
1410.
10.
You'll be greeted by a really nice lady named Sylvia who'll be able to direct you.
Well, I did call your office a couple of times regarding the situation, and I spoke to a very nice person, and I called her a few times, and finally she said the only solution they had was to have a mediation. They don't know my neighbors. Okay, they don't know my neighbors.
That's too bad. I have that.
No, they don't know my neighbors. And
neighbors.
If you want to have your neighbor call in next time the mayor's here, we could probably do it here.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, they're not talking to me at all because of this situation. It's like it's my fault. So the whole house doesn't speak to me at all because of the situation. Because I called her and I said, listen, I'd like to call your company if you don't want to call them to see if there's anything I could do. And I was very nice about it, and that was it. That was last February, and that's it. They blocked me from their phone, so I can't even, communicate, and it's pretty sad. So,
that's too bad.
So I'm in this alone, and I do live alone. I mean, I have children who are supportive, but they do have jobs, So, and I can't be out there shoveling all kinds of.
Yeah, so don't go out there don't go out there straining yourself, okay?
Right.
But so let's try community services and see whether that works.
All right. Thank you so much. You take care.
Thank you for the call. Have a great Christmas. We don't hear from you. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye. 508-996-0500. We got another caller here. Good morning. Thank you for holding.
Good morning, gentlemen, and what a beautiful day it is today.
It's a great day if you're a duck.
Oh, yeah.
A duck, a geese, a salamander, I don't know. Mayor, in regards to recall vote, my position is this should be voted on by the people, not by the city council. I feel it's a bit of a conflict of interest. They're voting on something that affects them, and it's like having a kid telling you, I want $100 a week allowance, and they've got the say. I think this should really be going to the people. I think it's a conflict. City council shouldn't even be touching this because of that. I mean, that's my thought. What do you think?
I'm not sure if that mechanism is available for something like this. It may be. I should know the answer to that. Forgive me, but I don't. I mean, one way to deal with any potential conflict is to make it effective at the end of the current term.
Okay.
Right. In other words, even though recumbents tend to get reelected, right? But in practice, but in theory, and on paper at least, it's everybody starts anew with the new term. So that could be a way to avoid any.
Right.
But it's not really. It's not really.
Like I said, we vote for so many other things. Why can't we vote for this? I mean, we voted on Uber drivers unionizing, which I thought was dumb. Why can't we do this?
Well, it would require a citizen's petition to do that.
Okay.
So it would require a whole lot of signatures to do it. If you wrote it up the way that we wrote it up, I'd sign it.
All right. I think we got a movement here. You got to
go.
get a bunch of people together.
Yeah.
Would it have to go back to the city council? Could they kill it that way? I know
I don't think so. It has to go to the state legislature ultimately. It would be a home rule petition. So they ultimately have a say on it.
Thanks for the call, my friend. That he brought that up with me earlier in the week.
I don't know. I think they could. A group of citizens could start a petition, but there's not a legal conflict. The city councils don't have a legal.
No,
conflict.
I get that.
It may not. Yeah, some of them might think it's not in their enlightened self-interest.
Of course, that's exactly what it is.
But that doesn't mean it's a conflict. So
no, I think what he's saying is, like if your kid's in charge of getting their allowance, they're going to raise it up to an irresponsible amount of money. Just like these people, they're worried about their paychecks, their health insurance, their pensions, and for some of them, it's their only option. So they don't want to give the people, the taxpayers, the right to take it away from them. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, no, the whole thing's disappointing.
It is.
But I think, look, there's an election coming up next year, and people have the opportunity to ask them as they run for office, is this something you support?
Mayor, you've had a good opportunity to work with some of the city council over there who now want to leave the council, maybe not, and come over to be the town administrator here. What would you think of that?
Yeah.
Would you recommend any of those councilors to become the town administrator, run the day-to-day function here in the town of Fairhaven?
Well, I mean, look, that's
where
for
I live.
Fairhaven to decide. I have good relationships with Ian Abreu and Joe Lopes, the two councilors you're talking about.
Yes.
And so things have always worked well between us, between them and me. I don't know whether there's a conflict there. I don't think so. There could be conflicts that come up, and the question is, can those be addressed just through recusal, or would there have to be something more than would they have to just choose one job or the other?
Right.
So I don't know. There aren't too many conflicts that would come up, I don't think. I mean, as I think about it, there are intermunicipal agreements between Fairhaven and New Bedford, for instance, on the provision in certain places of water and sewer coverage. There's not a lot of that in Fairhaven. There's more in Dartmouth and Acushnet, a little bit in Freetown. But those agreements come up from time to time. Sometimes there's stuff that happens in the harbor that requires some sort of reconciling, but we have a port authority for that. That's separate from the city council. So I don't think there'd be, but I haven't done any research on this, but I don't think there'd be a legal conflict between their serving as town administrator here and city council and on the city council in New Bedford. I'm just spitballing.
Right. Yeah. I can envision numerous ways there could be, but I'm only kind of kidding around with you about this. I don't think the selectmen in Fairhaven are going to select either one of them, but I can only pray, right? We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We have the mayor of New Bedford here in the studio. We're having a little fun. 508-996-0500. Stick around. We'll be right back.
I'm high as a kite. I just might stop to check you out. Let me go on, like I blister in the sun. Let me go on. Big hands, I know you.
You're bringing me back to my days in college, Mayor. When that would play at my fraternity, everybody go wild. Mayor's Playlist, Blister in the Sun by the Violent Femmes.
Oh, yeah.
We have the mayor of New Bedford here in studio. So, Mayor, have you done your Christmas shopping yet?
You know the answer to that question, Chris.
It's not snowing, so the mayor's not even concerned yet.
No, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time to start shopping.
You know, that's true because they actually have holiday extended hours down at Carter's Clothing and Footwear where everybody does their Christmas shopping. They have holiday extended hours. It's Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Fridays and Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays, 11 to 4. Free parking always at Carter's. Carter's Clothing and Footwear. They have great American brands at great prices. Actually, you can't beat their prices. And the other thing, Mayor, if you want to shop at Carter's and you still haven't made your mind up, you can get a gift card.
Oh, yeah.
You can trust Carter's.
They have those. Absolutely.
They've been there for 77 years, right? That's longer than me and you have been alive.
It is, and they're probably, if you brought in a gift card that was 77 years old, they would, I'm sure, honor it.
They would still see. That's a great point, Mayor. Right? They have all kinds of stuff there: shoes, hats, thermal underwear. If you want to get some stuffing stock,
It might be the hot holiday item this year. Thermal underwear.
That may be global warming.
Hot in more ways than one.
So, folks, head down to Carter's Clothing and Footwear. They've got great shoes there, all kinds of great stuff, and they've got New Bedford gear. Have you checked out the custom New Bedford gear that Carter's has?
I've in times past, yeah,
yes.
Of course. I haven't been there this year, Chris, because it's
nowhere near.
It's still pretty early in the Christmas.
The panic
shopping.
hasn't set in.
No, look. So here's my pitch to everybody out there about starting your shopping late. So there have been studies that show that the deals right before Christmas are just as good as they are on Black Friday.
Okay.
Right? The stores don't let you in on that. The lines are shorter, Chris.
Okay.
Because it's closer to Christmas, people are even cheerier about Christmas.
All right.
So they're really feeling the Christmas spirit. So when you go in the shops and everybody's happy, and that's all good. So yeah. So that's my polemic for going late. That's as I do.
And what's nice about that is if you're going to Carter's Clothing and Footwear, which obviously you are, they have extended holiday hours. So no matter what time, they'll be there.
Yeah.
Right? They'll be there. And the Carter families is usually on site, either in New Bedford or Fall River. So we're going to go back to the phones. Good morning. You're on the air with the mayor of New Bedford, Jon Mitchell.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
I just want to touch on this. It's another year, and we have seen, our taxes increase again, and the water and sewer rates are on the rise. And now it's time to start working on the 2025 budget. What will your office do to take physical responsibility to help the homeowners, small businesses in, getting some relief from the burden of tax rates and sewer rates? And I hope both of you have a great holiday season.
Yep,
Thank
same
you.
to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, always
Thanks for calling.
always a good question. I always appreciate questions about the city budget, and it's always good to return to the basics. And the basics are in city government, there are certain expenses that we can't control well because state policy dictates that we spend a certain amount in certain areas. One of them is on our schools. There's something called the foundational school budget requirement that says, in effect, that if you have that provides a formula that, based on the number of students who are enrolled and the demographics of the district, that formula yields an amount that the city or town, the district, is supposed to spend in any given year. That's gone up a lot, so we have to contribute a minimum amount to that. So that's one pressure point. State, the pension payments continue to go up and up and up.
Yep.
Every single year we have close to zero control over that. The city's retirement board could help a little bit there, but by and large, we are constrained by state law. The only way to really reduce your pensions, or we have to reduce pensions, is just to have fewer employees.
Right.
Even that's not going to make a difference until the real long run. And then healthcare is another one where we're greatly constrained by state law, with certain exceptions. One of them is the possibility that we could adopt what's loosely referred to as Municipal Health, the Health Reform Act. This is something that, as we've discussed, I've put in front of the City Council some 4 times now, and it's been rejected 4 times. So as far as what we do this coming year, we're going to be going back and doing that again. But we're also working on things to expand the tax base, of course, right? So you see a lot of the construction going on. That's actually yielding some new growth in the city. It's actually expanding the tax base. We saw that a little bit in this year's budget. Yeah, more than we had in several years.
Right.
Plus, with the work, and I'll just add this before you have to go to break, but it's also important to note that we are proceeding with the development on the golf course.
Excellent.
So that's making some really good progress right now that I'm sure we'll be talking about in the next few months. But there are other places where we're also trying to expand the tax base, but that's an important one.
Stick around, folks. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Listen to me and return me my ship. I'm your captain. I'm your captain. Though I'm feeling mighty sick.
Welcome back to the program. We have the capital of the city, the mayor of New Bedford, Mayor Jon Mitchell. Mayor, you have some great stuff coming up this weekend in the city?
Oh, we do, Chris. Yes. The holiday stroll is 12 o'clock downtown, so that's an occasion to go to do some shopping at our terrific stores. And there's some other festivities for kids, offerings for kids down there that they have every year that are worth it. And so I would just come check it out. The rain's supposed to be done by then.
Okay.
And it's always very well done. And I just appreciate all the work that the downtown shop owners, as well as our tourism department, does to put it all together.
It looks very nice.
Yeah.
It looks very nice downtown. It's fun. It's fun to head downtown and
have
shop.
fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't see me shopping though, because it's still way too early for me.
It's way too early for the mayor to shop. But have you got the Christmas tree up yet?
As a matter of fact, I do. I don't have ornaments on it yet.
You don't?
I put some lights up. I might put ornaments up tonight. So yeah, if I get really ambitious.
You'll be going by Potting Bench up back through the city. So they sell custom ornaments.
Yes, they do. I got to find. We got to dig them. I got to dig them out of my basement somewhere. I don't know, Chris.
See you, Mayor.
See ya.
Stick around for Barry, folks. He's back.